Hi, it's Keir Finlow Bates here, and today I'm talking about staking in crypto. Most of the time I have a love-hate relationship with it. That is, I love to hate it. Why, you may ask? The problem with the majority of staking opportunities in the blockchain world is that they come with supposed benefits, but no obvious penalties. That attracts people because they think they are getting something for nothing. You lock up your tokens in a smart contract, and magically the number of tokens you own increases over time. And who doesn't like something for nothing? Just ask the hordes of people turning up at my town's local hardware store the other month for a free bucket, even though most of them didn't need one. I'm now going to define two kinds of staking, those that come with responsibilities and those that do not. To begin with, I will talk about irresponsible staking, and I use the word irresponsible in both senses, without an associated duty and careless. After that, I will talk about what responsible staking is. Supposed benefits? The interest-like appreciation of your token holdings through staking isn't like interest from a bank. Many of us in the blockchain space may not be especially fond of banks, but to be fair, they are putting some effort into the means whereby they pay out interest. Let me explain. Someone needs more money than they currently have, and are willing to pay for the privilege of rectifying their current financial discrepancy with future earnings. And so the bank lends them money, makes a profit from the extra payments the borrower has to pay over time in return, and passes a small proportion of that profit back to their depositors. Or at least, that's how it used to work, back when interest rates were higher than inflation. But where are the earnings from staking in a token project coming from? In the majority of cases, they come from a special rewards allocation mentioned in the tokenomics report. What that means is that the project founders minted a bunch of tokens and put aside a portion to hand out to people who subsequently stake the tokens they bought, which makes staking the equivalent of a share dilution exercise in the traditional corporate world. If you subtract the fluctuations of the token price, what is happening is that those who stake do not get diluted, and those who don't stake do get diluted. When you look at it like that, it's not much of a reward, is it? Non-obvious penalties. That's all very well, I hear you respond. But the fact remains that if I stake my tokens and the token price goes up, then I have extra moreness on top of my fantastic increases. Indeed, that's true. You will have extra moreness for a while. However, you need to think about the agenda behind all of this. Why does the project want to pay you for locking up your tokens? The answer is that it reduces the circulating supply of the token, and so if the demand stays the same, the price will increase. And project managers want their token price to increase, because they have a lot of tokens to sell. At this point, I could add that we are looking at the same kind of mechanism that central banks use to push and pull the macroeconomic levers of the economy of the nation over which they preside. And wasn't the whole point of blockchain and cryptocurrency meant to be to get away from that kind of indirect centralized control? Idealistic token project founders who inadvertently implemented such a naive staking system may now retreat to their local bar to drown the rising sense of guilt that they are beginning to feel in a few well-chosen alcoholic beverages. But what if you're just another speculator or opportunistic entrepreneur, and all this blockchain optimism means nothing to you? Think about the regulators and the fines and prison sentences that get handed out after they successfully prosecute. If you're a speculator, your investment will crater if the project you invested in is taken to court, and if you're a project founder, well, you'd better look good in orange. Irresponsible staking may not fall into the classical categories of a Ponzi scheme or a pyramid scheme, but it has all of the hallmarks of a scam. Who knows? Perhaps in a few years there will be a new name for it, a staking scheme. Artificially inflating the value of an unregulated asset that already runs the risk of being classed as security-like is not just going to make the token look even more like a security, it is going to make it look like securities fraud was committed in the process. Responsible staking. In my opinion, genuine and valid staking comes with responsibilities, and what's more, if you do not live up to those responsibilities, then there has to be a punishment. This is called slashing in the blockchain world, and an example is staking in Ethereum. You don't just lock up your ETH in the staking contract and see rewards rolling in. You have to do some work, namely run a validator node enabled by your stake to get your share of the block rewards and validator rewards. Or you can pay someone else to run a node for you, which involves risk and cost, because if you delegate your stake, you'll find that they take a cut of your profits as payment for their efforts. If you, or they, don't run the node properly and diligently, your stake starts to decrease instead of increasing. And so staking in Ethereum is a mechanism to incentivize a group of disparate people to run nodes, which is what is needed to keep it decentralized. This kind of staking has a real form of utility, and it is for the chain as a whole. Or at least, that's the argument for it. No free lunches. All of this is just another example of Robert Heinlein's maxim, there ain't no such thing as a free lunch. As someone who is thinking of buying into a token, you should consider staking with no apparent downside as a red flag. Either the project is a profit-making exercise for the founders and their early investors, or they haven't fully thought through what the long-term ramifications of their decision is. And if you are a project founder who is thinking about launching a token with staking, and your tokenomics expert hasn't drawn your attention to the fact that your staking is irresponsible, then you should consider hiring a different tokenomics expert. That's it for today. Hope you found it interesting, and see you in the next video soon.